Hey everyone, welcome to episode 5 of Can We Just Talk? Hi guys.
Hey
Guys.
Checking that you can all hear me and that everything's okay. Right, so this week we are covering, what's the title?
More money, more problems.
I wish I had some shades on that I could, more money, more problems. Should have came with my shades, but it's been a heavy week for us this week, as it's probably been a heavy week for all of you guys out there. So, let's just try and lighten the mood, let's try and find some happiness amidst all of the hurt that we're actually all feeling right now. We're going to start off with prayer and then we'll get straight into it. So, First Lady.
Yeah. Let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to talk again as a group of 4 couples. Thank you for everybody that's tuned in. I just want to take a moment, dear Lord, to ask you to help us to just turn to you, especially as there's so much that's happened in the past 7 days. And in the background amidst it all, we just can't forget that there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of loss. So just please be with us, help us as we talk, and may everybody who hears what we speak about have something that can impact and help them to change their lives too. Amen.
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 Oh, talking about finances then. Let's jump straight into it then, guys. Mm-hmm. So, in our relationships, right, you know how there's always one that's good with the money, one who's less good with the money? I want to know, you guys, talk to me. Who's the most financially astute? Who handles the money? Let's go to the raise. I've seen Marcus thinking hard. I'm putting you on the spot. Say what's on your heart.
Why are you coming to us?
Say what's on your heart, Marcus.
Remember we talked the other day about wearing the trousers? I look after the money too.
That's only because I let him look after the money.
Oh, okay.
So you let him wear the trousers and you let him look after the money.
That's right, Stacey. That's right. Yeah, I think generally speaking, I like to buy nice things. I like to have my own money. I like to work for my money. Because then it's mine, I guess. So as much as we're sharing, I think when it comes to things like, when you're walking around in the shops and like people will stop you and go, oh, hi, we've got some gas and electric offers here and we'd like to offer you this and offer you that. And I'll go, nah, sorry, talk to my husband about that one, sorry. And I pretty much get out of it that way. But really, he does do that kind of stuff. I like to deal with the shopping, the food shopping, the things like that. Whereas financially for him, I guess everything else.
Yeah. I think I deal with most of the bills and all that sort of thing. I keep tracks of things, keep checking on, looking for better deals and all that sort of thing.
I haven't got time for that.
Yeah, but that's a problem though, because I always say to her, you need to know what's going out, what goes where, logins, what gets paid for here, there, and everywhere. Because when you think about it, if you were to sit down and look at all the bills that you have, outgoings and coming in, is usually just one thing most of the time. But if you look at it, there's a massive list. There's a big list of things. So that's logins. You can't use all the same login for everything. So it's one of those things where I'm like, Dion, you need to know this stuff, but she just don't listen.
I do listen. Telling people I don't listen, I listen. Say again.
I was just going to say, it's funny you talk about the people stopping you in the shopping centre, like, do you want to change your deal? And you like speak to my husband. I get offended when they're like, oh, do you know who your gas and electricity is with? Or should I speak to your husband? I'm like, hold on a second. I know. I sorted it out, okay. me, but I don't want to speak to you.
No, it's just that I don't. Yeah, that's right. I just don't want to speak to them about it. Like, it's just a cop out, really.
I think there's a lot of assumptions, though, aren't there? The assumption is a woman doesn't really know these things. Well, in my house, it's different because Winnie deals with the gas and electric and stuff. I mean, I'm not fussed. Do you know what I mean? As long as it's paid, I don't really care.
But I'd say that financially, we both make the decisions. I'm just the one who manages like being on top of everything.
That's a great way of describing it. The fact that you're both there in the decision-making process, but one person actually. But Mike, I've got a question to ask, right?
Go on,
so when you handle the finances and the technical stuff, I'm starting to wonder where you're coming in this.
I don't do anything, bro. I don't do anything. I just pray and preach. That's all I can do.
You do.
Amen.
Amen. In all seriousness, I can do technical stuff too, but I just can't be bothered. So I kind of let Winnie deal with that.
No, Mike is the fixer though. He does all the DIY. He fixes stuff. He does the painting. I don't have anything to do with that side of the house.
We ain't talking about the DIY today. About the money.
Okay. Well, put it this way. In terms of money, we split everything. So my money's Winnie's money. Winnie's money's my money. When she met me, I didn't have 2 pennies to rub together. And so when it comes to like the finances and stuff, for me it's easy. There's no stress. You know, we just discuss it and it just gets paid. Winnie's better at saving than me though. She's definitely better at saving. She's a lot more.
I think you were better at saving than me.
Oh, take note. Take note.
Like this. Bringing in those blessings. You're fighting each other for who's saving better. You know.
There we go.
That's good.
Great, Jay. What are you saying?
We're a bit like in the middle. I think there was a point where I was probably a bit better, more astute with the money. But I think we've both kind of on the same level where we without going into it, because we're going to look at it later on, where we both look after the bills and we manage our money separately and together. So it's kind of a joint thing. But I would say, I think in the whole, I'm probably a bit better with money.
I like treating myself.
She's a bit of a spender.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, sometimes, you know, when you can't justify things yourself, I always hear my mum in the back of my mind. She used to always say, well, you work hard. So that's really bad, because if I want something and deep down I know that it's not necessary, I hear my mum, well, you work hard.
Good. That's what you're supposed to do. Yeah.
You work hard, Cherie, so there you go.
I agree with that. You've got to have a balance, because, you know, I think if it wasn't for Winnie, I'd be one of those types of people that would have loads of savings, but would be mean to myself. I just have the basics. I'm a minimalist sort of person. You know me, guys. My house looks like I've either just moved and I've been robbed, you know? I kind of like it minimalist. I'm not into clutter. But Winnie's the one that was like, yes, Jonathan. Winnie was the one that was like...
Is that stand for life, man? Is that stand for life?
It's that stand for life, G. Whereas Winnie's the type of person, Winnie would want to have holidays. She'd be like, we've got to have holidays to build memories. And I'd be like, but the holiday's going to cost X amount of money. I'd rather see the zeros in the bank.
I'm like that, you know, Mike. I was like that a lot. And I think Dion, in our relationship building, I think Dion's kind of changed that in me. Don't get me wrong. I still want to, you want to see the zeros in the bank, but then I've come to a realization that, I need to treat myself like you were saying as well, Cherie. We work so hard. What's the point of working so hard to put money in the bank and then never use it to make experiences and enjoy it?
Yeah, but while we're on this topic, like, I feel like I don't know about anyone else, but me personally, I feel a lot happier spending money on Marcus or spending money on Sienna and Savannah. Yeah, totally. And then when it comes to me, pure guilt. So that's why I don't spend money on myself. Exactly. I find it difficult to do that, because I'm like, oh yeah, £30 for this, oh no problem, £50 for that. And then my mum will tell you, she cusses me all the time. Like, we'll be in the shop and I'll see a coat or something for £50 and I'll be like,
I love it and put it back.
Thank you. I'll be like, oh, it's so nice. You know what? Oh, it's lovely, and put it back. Leave it on the hanger.
I'm the same. I like to buy things for Winnie, 100%, and the children. I'm not into gifts. Winnie doesn't need to buy me gifts because I make my own, I can buy what I want. I'm a grown man. I can buy what I want. I don't need gifts. I'm the same when it comes to Father's Day, birthday presents, anniversary, Christmas. Don't worry, just your presence is enough.
Yo, Michael, were you about to say that you make your own gifts then? I'm sure you would.
Yeah. We used to make our own gifts and stuff. Those are good days, man.
Cool. Okay, well, something that was said a minute ago you talked about the finances in terms of accounts. I think you spoke about it, Micah. What do we think about having personal accounts and having separate accounts and that sort of thing? Do you feel, especially in a marriage relationship, do you feel that the accounts should be joint automatically, or should you still have personal accounts?
I think that everything should be shared. So when you go into a marriage, you're going into a partnership. Your wife or your husband is your partner. And I feel like having a hidden account where my wife doesn't know what I have in it, or vice versa, is very dangerous. I
have to disagree with you there, Micah. Sorry. Listen, my granddad Brooks, I had to confirm this because I'm sure I heard it somewhere and I knew it was my granddad. May he rest in peace. He says, mother has and father has, blessed is the child who has their own. Okay, so when we take that into consideration of the marriage, I believe that yes, we should have something that is together. However, you should have not a hidden one, not a private one, but you should have an account where your own things are in. That if you want to go and buy your little smalls as a lady, and you want to go, I don't want to go to Marcus and say, well, Marcus is expecting some bills to be coming out somewhere, and I'm like, why? I use the money to go and buy myself some tights. No, like. I think yes, it should be shared, but you should be able to have your own, as well.
But then
I agree exactly the same, because we tried the whole joint account for everything, and it just got messy. Like, we didn't know what was coming or going. So we have a joint account where our bills come out, but then we have our separate accounts where Shree will buy the things she wants to buy off Amazon and Boots and everyday.
Wait.
And Boohoo.
Name drop.
That was yours.
Of everything, yeah?
Yeah, trust me. And then
then I
have my account to buy my Amazon stuff.
Should we talk about the postman bringing everything for you?
Amazon
and the postman.
Oh, you guys are everything.
Listen, this guy and his gym.
Gym, that's it, exactly. It's just the gym.
The way that we work around it is because I strongly, I can hear where you're coming from, because that is something that culturally I've heard of a lot, especially their relatives will die and the husband will always pull out an extra £10 note, and it's like, where's that come from? But for us, how we basically do it is we have joint accounts, but we budget very hard to the point where every week we have our own personal allowance. So I can still go on Amazon and buy my stuff without having to go to Micah and say, oh, can I have this or can I have that? But there's still that accountability there. Like, for us.
That's why you guys are so good. That's what it is. You guys have got it to a T. I ain't at that place yet. I can't see. I bet you guys, the communication will be good with you for that, because you guys will spend a lot of time talking about things and discussing where are we now, blah, blah, blah. Marcus
you guys don't do that.
Like that. I don't want to talk.
Oh, okay. We talk about it on a regular basis, because we're actually very similar to Micah and Winnie in that every single account we have is joint. So we have our joint accounts where all of our salaries come into, and then we've got our another joint account where the bills come out of. Yeah. So all we do is we transfer everything into this account, so the bills are covered from that. Yeah. And so we know roughly how much on our credit card. We literally just have a figure, and the figure's just X amount. And so basically, once we've done everything first, we know bills are coming out of that account that's over there. Our tithe is paid for. Our savings have been put in. Savings comes out the moment our salaries come in. And so we treat savings like it's a bill. And then whatever's left over, as long as we can spend it however we want. So I've got no issue if she wants to go and spend it all on a pair of shoes or whatever. We'll talk about it. As long as we know we don't go above that threshold.
Like we had
shoes, Stacey.
Shoes. Anyway, we actually had a joint account before we got married. We had a joint savings account, so that we could just start putting aside. I mean, my mum always told me about my grandparents, like growing up, every Friday they'd get paid, and so every Friday they'd come home and they'd put their money together on the table, they'd take out what they needed for tithe and bills, and whatever else was left, you know, it was theirs. It's always been our money. And we have a joint credit card. Like Joy said, we just decide what we want to spend each month, and we each just spend. We have the app on our phones, we can see where we're up to and what we spent in the month, and it works. I never have to ask him for money. He never has to ask me.
So what happens in you guys' situation? What happens when Winnie blows the account?
But it doesn't happen.
It never happens.
It doesn't happen because we have, like us too, because we have a separate, we know what our outgoings are, and every few months we'll review what our outgoings are, but our expenses account is purely an expenses account. So at the end of every week, we'll look and see the situation. And if it's getting close to that amount where, okay, we're overspending, we'll cut back on certain things so that we know that, you know, come the end of the month, we've got enough to, like, so basically at the beginning of each month, we put enough in the outgoings account, then we have our expenses, put a bit in the savings, and then the rest is just for us to spend.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but that's what I mean. So what happens? So do you guys split it 50-50? What happens when Micah spends a bit more on the gym and you've got a little bit less of that 50-50 that's left? Is it a case of, oh, Michael, why do you use that extra £200?
No, because it's his money to spend. So it's like, if you've got a budget every week, some days you won't, some weeks will go past and I won't buy anything at all. The next week I might put the 2 weeks together and do a big splurge.
Yeah.
Like, don't get it twisted though, because we have it in this, we have
it's easy.
Because we're separate and we've got different accounts. That don't mean that I don't still think that his money is my money and my money is his money. It's absolutely the same. Yeah. It's just that, say for example, okay, this is how we explained it at first to each other so that we were on the same page. We're like, okay, so Marcus and I, we have my salary goes into my account, my personal account. Marcus's salary goes into his account, yeah? And then what we do is the money, all the bills go into our shared account. So we each month we put money into the shared account. That's what we do, and then the bills, and then the savings as well. And so it all goes into that, so we can see what bills been paid, what hasn't, what's coming out. So don't get it wrong. Like, we check it. No. It's just that I'm holding my purse with my little change in, but it's still his money, and he's holding his wallet, but it's still my money in there because we're together. So
I think we're both saying the same thing in different ways.
But that's the most important thing, isn't it? That the plan that you have as a couple is
Works
something you both agree on. The ones where it doesn't work is where you both have different opinions, and that just can't work.
It can't work.
Then do you pay the bills like 50-50, or do you pay it proportionally to?
Well, I believe we'll come on to that bit. There's something else. There's something else that somebody else has just asked. Like, how do you ever surprise your partner? If
you know what?
Everyone can see everything, but again, we'll come on to that point.
No, but listen. I can answer that question. No, go on, Stacey.
No, I just say, Dre, I'm buying you something. Don't look at the credit card bill this month. I'll swear.
No.
So you know what?
Bend the credit card. Credit cards are of the devil, man.
No, but as in, you not to look.
You can't manage it properly.
The tag bit.
Wait, what's that, Stace?
I said, if you can't manage it properly, my credit rating is so good because I've had a credit card.
All right. Marcus can't tell me that. He couldn't say to me, "Don't check."
No, because I don't look.
That exactly, Cherie. Thank you. I'd absolutely go and look.
But then, guys, I think.
Ooh, what is it?
I think we're all saying the same thing in different ways. So we all have a system that works, and we kind of play with that system and tweak it in little places. So, for example, we set an allowance as a spending allowance. I call it pocket money, and I find it exciting because I don't want to go over my budget. And if I do go over my budget, then next month I will cut my spending allowance down. And so that's why there's never like a case where Winnie's saying, babes, you know, you've been rinsing off hundreds and hundreds of pounds. I'm not really one to spend loads of money anyway. So for me, it's kind of okay.
And big expenses like holidays, we factor that in. So that would be like a joint.
We just save up for that,
I think our situation is very similar to you guys, dear Marcus. And I think as well, Jonathan is very similar to Micah, surprise, surprise, in that he doesn't, like, sometimes I have to encourage
5 years lockdown, what can I say?
Because he'll see something that he wants and he'll be like, he'll just talk about it in passing, or I'll see him looking at something for weeks on weeks on weeks, and I'm like, why don't you just get it? And he'd be like, oh, nah. I'm like, well, why not? And he's like, oh, I just don't know.
Don't need it.
I'm like that.
I'm like, well, you've been looking at it for months.
Can
you
you
clearly
repeat
want it. You clearly want to have it. So just get it. And he's like,
Listen, you know how long Marcus has been doing that in a basketball net? Like, this is right now.
just go by the net.
He's like, shall I do it? No, I don't think I should do it. I don't think God wants me to buy it because it's out of stock. Oh, it's back in stock again. Shall I get it? Bro, just get the basketball net, bro.
It's definitely.
Buy it for him. Buy
it for him. Surprise him. Buy it for him.
But sometimes you feel a bit guilty because you think, oh, well, I could use that money to do something else for the kids. Especially when you got kids in the mix, it's kind of, you kind of forget about yourself a bit as well.
And that's a good point, because I believe everything changes when you have children. You know, I've become a lot less selfish getting married and having kids. When you're single, you've got no kids, you spend your money on what you want. But when you have children, you've got to think twice.
Yeah, that's true. And I think as well with the whole, when you've got children, is like, some people say, oh, children are as expensive as you make them type of thing. But the general need of them can be quite frequent and it does add up sometimes. So like we've got 2 boys and sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, things are cool. Oh, I haven't bought them anything in a while. So then I feel like I have to buy them something because I haven't bought them something in a while. But then you'll have a time where nothing fits either of them. They're both having growth spurts and won't stop eating.
Believe.
Like, suddenly I'm like, oh my goodness. So it's like,
listen, you turn it into a fashion trend, Cherie. So like, well, I don't know, it works for my girls. So Sienna will be like, my trousers are a bit short. I'm like, no, man, the leggings is all right.
We did that.
It's fine.
Oh, mate, it's hard with these boys, man. It's hard at you. Like, Caleb, sometimes I just, like I say to Jonathan, but his shoes are too small. Already?
Yeah.
Like, they've got anywhere. I'm like, nah, this
Yeah.
can't. But yeah,
Right, guys. Okay, so now I'm not trying to get all up in your business. We know that we're live, guys. So, you know, keep your business in your pockets. But percentage-wise,
like your money.
How much do you think that you should each contribute to the bills? So does it matter? Like, is it that if Marcus is earning more than me, then he should contribute more? Is it that no, both of us are using the facilities, we're both living in the house, we're both using the water and the electricity, so we're gonna share it, it's gonna be 50-50? Like, how much should each person contribute? Because there's people out here who are watching this show and they just want a bit of advice from people who are doing it currently. We're not saying that our way is the right way, we're just talking and sharing. So what do you think? What suggestions could you make?
I would say it changes. So every couple's different, but we've been through waves. So we've been in a situation where I probably earned more, but that was because Jonathan was studying. Then we were kind of the same. And now I've decided that I'm going to start studying. So I'm just like agency and here, there and wherever. So things change in terms of what you bring to the table. And the way we've kind of managed it is very much like, we know what the 50-50 is, but I never have to say to Jonathan like, oh, yeah, this month it's not quite the same. He knows that. He knows it's not quite the same because he knows I'm no longer working where I was, and he knows that I'm doing a few shifts a week. So he'll say, oh, here's whatever more do you want, what you need to take that stress off me. So I think it's the fact that we've got the transparency and that we're able to confidently talk to each other about it and know what we also know and kind of manage what goes out. We have our little spreadsheets. So we can always refer to those. And like, obviously our bills come out of our joint accounts. We've got the visibility. Do you know what I mean? So
Marcus, love a spreadsheet.
Great things, Marcus. The way forward.
Trust me.
Failure to plan is planning to fail.
There you go. The spreadsheet only is a big purchase.
Sorry, Dre. I didn't
go for it, Jay.
I was just saying, it's just in terms of spreadsheets, it's just lovely when you get to the end and it all balances up, and you're like,
so you have like all your formulas and I love it.
This is it. Like, so for me, like my problem I have is I've got this failure or problem called man maths, which is if I truly want something, the maths will balance.
Hey, we better send you to a doctor.
That's a dangerous game, bro. Dangerous game.
This is it. Like,
you need to write a book on that one, bro.
You could find yourself sleeping on a park bench easily.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That wasn't what I was expecting, but never mind. But the way that we do it is because we've got our joint accounts. So I know what is going into the account. Stacey will know what goes into the account. I personally, when we pay the bills, it comes out of the one account. So I don't know what ratio of that money was mine or what ratio was Stacey's. Because I know when we first started dating, like Stacey earned, basically she got taxed more than I earned. I wasn't earning anything. And so what ended up happening was I'd buy Stacey birthday presents and stuff or pay for anything. And I'm pretty certain she'd be like, oh, thank you. I'm like, probably bought that with 99.9% of your own money. Yeah. But she treated it as if it was, she never looked at it like you bought it with my own money. She didn't think of it that way. So I've always wanted to earn my way towards parity, which we can come on to later. But the reality of the situation is I don't know the percentage of everything is joined. So I assume based upon some of the comments we've seen, if one person's putting more into that account, then there probably will be a greater percentage that comes from there. It's just we don't look at it that way.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
that's a good point.
Doing it guy's way where we got paid our salaries separately and then put into a joint account for the bills. I think if we were doing it that way, I think it would make more sense for us to pay proportionally to what we earned. So say if you earned twice as much as me, then you should put in 60% towards the bill and I'll put in like 34%.
So glad we do it this way.
Listen, when we first got married, and I was talking first, the same days that, like, as I mentioned in episodes past, when I used to sit down and iron for him every day and when we first got married, I felt that I needed to do 50%. I felt like it was my duty. Really? I had to do 50%. And Marcus was so sweet, bless him, because I remember one time that I was putting in my 50%, but the bills had gone up and he hadn't even had that conversation with me yet. And I was like, right, I put my whatever in, my X in, you put in yours in. And I noticed that he put in more. So I was like, why are you putting in more? This is what you said the bills were. And he's like, yeah, but you know, it's gone up. Like, it's gone up. So I just covered it. And I was like, how could you cover it and not tell me?
That's the true man right there, you know. Fair play, Marcus.
No, but I appreciate that. Like, at the time, I don't even think I've ever said it to you. Like, at the time, I was like, wow, this guy just is doing whatever it is to make me happy. He didn't even tell me.
No, but I think it goes back to what we talked about in some of the previous episodes of, you know, being the man of the house and wanting to protect and look after your family. So it wasn't a thing of, oh, well, you need to give me an extra £200 or whatever it is that it gone up. It was a case of, well, I'll just cover it because I feel that as my duty as being the protector and looking after my family, and at that time it was us as the family, there was no children involved. It was just my duty.
So then 9 years later, I'm like, well, if you still want to cover it, like.
But then I kind of but then and this is no criticism to your way of doing things, but some people take it to the nth level where they can manipulate their spouse by saying, you know, I pay all the bills and you don't pay nothing, you know, you need to get a better job, or I put 60% of my salary in and you're only putting 20%, therefore I have to then add an additional 20%, which means I'm now paying. Do you know what I mean? And some people can be manipulative with that and also be bullyish. So I think there's a fine line between, I always think people should do what works best for them as a couple, but then I also think there's a fine line between it being productive and counterproductive.
And I think we kind of are all singing the same hymn sheet, that we all generally and genuinely believe that each other's money belongs to each other. There is no regardless of what pot it comes out of, it's the same. And I think if you're in a relationship where you feel you have to fight someone to prove you need to put in more, then you need to explore that, because clearly there's some sort of issue there where you don't actually feel like you're united. Because I am exactly with all of you, and especially what you said, Dre, like regardless of who earns what, I don't even think about what's brought in or who should contribute, because regardless, your money's my money's your money. It literally doesn't, it doesn't even factor into the way I think about finances, to be honest. So,
It's true.
Yeah.
So on the back of that point, do you think it's important to know what the other person earns? Because I've heard some wild stories where people keep it a secret from each other because they don't, because it's like, oh, well, no one's ever asked me that before.
Wow.
No secrets. No secrets.
My experience is I've always told him, and sometimes I think he doesn't even, he's like, oh, okay. Like, I tell him everything, you know, to, like, if I got a bonus, if, like, my tax was slightly different and it was, like, £20 less, if it was, I'm like, babes, and he's like, oh, okay. Yeah, like, literally. You know, when I'm going for jobs and I'm like, always want to haggle it. Like I'm just that person that will never accept the starting offer, and I'll always do it just for the banks, really. And like I'll always come back and tell him about it, and I'm like, oh yeah, so like they offered me this, but I'm gonna go in with this because and he's like, oh, okay, but that's still good though. And I'm like, yeah, but you know, what do you think? And he's like, yeah.
You're lucky though.
Strange.
Some people try that and they don't get a job.
No, I've always been that person. Like, God's blessed me in that sense. But yeah, I just think like, I think it's strange that someone would not share that information. Like, that's just wild.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's strange. Like, if you really are a couple and a team, you should know what comes into the pot. It doesn't make a difference as to how you view things, but no secrets, just like what Deanne said. And trust me, like, if you think that not knowing what each other's is just one secret that won't make a difference, it does, because you start compromising on one secret, who knows where 10 years later what secrets it's going to take you to. So
find out your spouse got a Swiss bank account with a whole heap of money.
Yeah.
Or another woman in a different country.
Exactly, because you don't know how much they're earning, so they're actually paying for two families. I've heard those stories.
Yeah, that's crazy though. I mean, I think it's always important for couples to know how much each other earn. I mean, it doesn't, and I'm with you, Jonathan, in terms of Andre and Marcus and Dion, we're all on the same page. It doesn't really matter to me what Winnie earns, how much, how little, whether she gets a tax rebate or not, because it's all our money. You know, when I met Winnie, she was a student, you know, so was I, you know, we barely had 2 pennies together. I was taking Winnie out to restaurants saying, baby, eat what you want. And I was itemizing the bill and having a salad and water, you know, remember those days, guys?
Very fasting, Micah.
Pardon?
You're fasting, isn't it? That's all you claim.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm on a special diet, and that time I was starving. Or even when it comes to gifts, you know, you can't afford a gift, so you make a gift.
Them.
Hey, there's more thought in that, Mike.
Listen, bro, I'll tell you straight. I remember the times when you'd buy something for yourself with your girlfriend, then your card would get declined, and you'd be like, I think I've got another card at home, and you'd be like, don't worry about it, it's cool.
And the girls, they're like, it's okay, babe, it doesn't matter.
I thank God that Winnie ain't no gold digger, because she's a gold digger, she won't be with me, I tell you.
Yeah, I feel like that's the same for most of our women, though. When you think about it, when you look at the mistakes or things that you've made financially in your past, and the fact that our wives are still with us, like, fair play.
Amen.
Dre survived on a diet of chocolate sauce for an entire week just because.
Wow. Tell me about that. What happened?
Just so he could buy me food at the weekend and a flower. He bought some roses.
I was a student. I had no money.
Chocolate sauce, bro. Come on.
It was the only thing left over from my previous week's shop.
So wait, go back. Tell me about the chocolate sauce, bro. How did that work?
You're gonna have to talk about this on
what you put on top of ice cream.
You ate that for 1 week.
Were you doing it on twigs? What were you putting it on?
Just straight into my mouth. It's like once a day. It's the only way that I could have money left over to pay for the food I take in the weekend.
I hope you still got this gift and it's still bringing you joy.
Bro, that is serious love there.
You better get them twigs. You better have them stored upstairs in one suitcase.
Right.
What were you just doing? Were you just squirting it in your mouth, or were you putting?
You can't get over it, can you? Like, legitimately, yeah. I always remember like going down the hallway, just going, I'm starving, I'm absolutely starving. Going into the shared fridge with the other dorm mates, and they just got all these shelves of food, and there's mine just in the door. There's one chocolate syrup. I'm just like, oh, gotta put that then.
Well, you actually mentioned to just what your pot noodles.
Now the thing is, I didn't live with people that I got along with or knew. Like, I was in one particular year, they were freshers, and so we didn't actually have a good relationship.
Bro, my rice and salad cream at least.
That's hardcore still.
Yeah. No, rice and salad cream. That
was money. So it's either I ate or she didn't. Like it's one of those ones.
Next shop, get it right.
Yeah. Oh well.
So on the back of Cherie's question, does it make a difference in a relationship who earns the most? Is it a thing where, you know, man of the house must earn the most? Is it bad if the female earns more than the male? Like what do you go? How's it run in your guys' house? Well, don't tell me how it runs in your house. Just tell me what you think.
Yeah. I think it will be interesting to hear the guys' point of view on this one. What do you think? Do you think it's an issue if the women earn more than you?
Listen, yeah, I'd kick back and relax if my woman was earning more than me. Doesn't bother me.
Yeah,
be a kept man. Be a kept man.
Originally, I think. Oh, go on, Dre. Sorry, you know what? Your screen keeps freezing, but I'll keep looking on clock this weekend. Go ahead.
Cool. Now, what I was saying is, like, for us, Stacey earned more than me when we first started going out. I had, same as Mike, I had nothing to bring to this at all. Nothing. I had no financial acumen, didn't understand anything. Basically, if I saw something, I'd spend because I wanted it. And I remember when Stacey brought in her salaries and I had mine, I was like, like I earn literally zilch. I earn nothing. And that was a problem for me. Not the fact that she earned more than me, it was just the fact that the disparity or the size of the disparity, I felt like I brought nothing to that relationship financially. And so for me, I'd always wanted to work. She never once made me feel guilty. And she bought my first car so that I could actually get a job. Like I had no way to get to work. And so she bought me my car to get to work. So I always wanted to contribute more to almost, I wanted to contribute more to be able to just, I don't know, I felt like I wasn't giving much. I've got, you know, inbuilt into me, I wanted to be a provider. Didn't need to earn more, I just needed to contribute something. And I wasn't doing that at the start, so I've always wanted to work towards it. But I've got no issue if she earns more than me, because it's my money.
I'm with you on that.
For me, I always just thought that if I was going to be with somebody, they'd need to get over the fact that I might earn more than them real quick because of what I was doing. It's obviously likely that I
boy, bye.
Initially. If that was going to be an issue, like, don't bother. Like, that's I feel like it's just such an ego thing. Like, just get over that because all the money is coming into the one account anyway. It really does not matter. That was always my opinion.
Wow. Get along with that.
Yeah.
I think the man that's the provider and it's the man that has to earn the most. And it was a thing that I carried into my relationship to when I got with Sheree and I realised, nah, B, you're not earning the most. Like,
with the tables turned.
It was like, I'd look and be like, what apart from my salary though?
Hey, but Jonathan, did it knock you though? Did you feel away
So no, it didn't because and I realised then that I built up this thing in my head where I've got to earn the most, or else I don't feel manly enough, or I don't feel like I'm contributing enough. But when it actually happened, it was like, well,
just get on with it.
Get on with it. Like it wasn't a big deal.
Exactly. I think that was a lot like me and D, because at one point it kind of fluctuated, went up and down, first starting in our careers and that sort of thing. And yeah, it didn't really matter. It was kind of like we've already discussed, it's our money altogether. So if someone's bringing in 100,000, who cares?
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to see 100,000 though, bro. That'd be nice.
Me too.
The thing is, I'm like straight up. For me, it doesn't bother me at all. I agree. It doesn't bother me at all. It's about being able to look after each other. And as the man, for me, at least you're contributing. You could be not contributing, not working, but at least you're contributing. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And I also think it depends on the job you do. Because, go on.
No, carry on.
I think it also depends on the job you do, because there's certain careers that you may choose where you will never be able to supersede your spouse because of the career choice. So there are certain financial sacrifices you make by your career choice. And I think it's important for people to, acknowledge that they may go into a career and that gives them fulfillment, but it may not necessarily give them a lot of money. And
that don't mean that if you're looking for a life partner, just check for their bank account. That's not what we're saying.
No.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I think so.
I was just going to ask if it bothered any of the girls, because I know like last week we talked about lists, and sometimes when you were younger, you might have said, oh, well, my partner has to be earning X amount or at least more than me. And I know that was quite common amongst a lot of females growing up. Even now sometimes. Did it bother you if your man wasn't earning more than you?
What bothered me was my man had to have a job.
Yes.
That's my criteria.
Yeah.
Trying to get one. Yeah.
That's it. Because
yeah,
like for me, it was never the amount. Show me that you're out there hustling, working. When I say hustling, don't tell me I do a bit of this and a bit of that and I get by. Don't want to hear that. I want to know that your national insurance number is kicking in. That's what I want to know.
None of this working in pharmaceuticals.
No.
That's what I needed.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, I think for me as well, I'm pretty much with Cherie on this one. I didn't have any kind of set figure as to like I would only be with a guy who's earning this amount or can give me X, Y, Z. It was, again, like I said in last week's episode, it's about building the empire together. So we are working. That's what we're doing. Whether it's small, whether it's a lot, like together we are working. So I don't think it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me. We're gonna own that empire. Ain't it, babe? Come on.
Pennies make pounds.
Claim it, girl. Claim it.
Come on.
Money off his stuck. Money off his stuck.
If one of you's earning more, should the person who's earning give the other person pocket money? And who should pay for stuff when you go out?
I think pocket money is a bit strong still. Pocket money is strong, but
an allowance.
Even still, like me and Cherie were saying, like if Cherie was earning more at one point, she'd put a little bit more into the kitty, and if I'm earning more, I'd put a little bit more in the kitty as well. Not to say, oh, here's £20, babe, go and splash out. You know what I mean?
Here's £30, babe, go splash out.
When you say pocket money, like as a child, what's pocket money?
20 quid, isn't it?
20 quid? That's pocket money.
Nah, it depends.
Go and get your bus pass and some sweets.
Hey, I've seen some high rollers pull out some rolls of notes, you know.
I know some people that have got pocket money like wages.
Well, I need to talk to them and find out, because pocket money for me, my dad gets 20 quid. That's pocket money, £20.
Lucky way.
I don't know how I feel about the term pocket.
Or even allowance. I think that's a bit deep.
It's a bit funny.
It's kind of like the person's beneath you almost, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then not. It's not. I don't think that. Okay, so Marcus doesn't give me pocket money. Let's just put it out there. We don't, because the way how we do things,
that caveat in first.
the way how we do things, like we don't. But anyway, I don't think necessarily it always has to be a negative thing. So like from the question Stacey's asking, my understanding is, okay, yeah, it might be terminology about like pocket money or allowance or whatever, but it might just be a simple thing like, babe, I've put £50 on the counter, go and enjoy yourself. So it's not necessarily that it's, okay, every Friday I'm going to give you a certain amount of money. Now don't spend it all at once. Like, it's not like that.
Pocket money.
But even if it's not said like that, do you not feel it's a little bit controlling? Like one person is solely in control of the finances if they can say to you, here's £50, go and buy yourself something pretty or something like that. Like the fact that they've had to say, this is what you're allowed to spend out of your shared.
But what I'm wondering is, because I've just seen some of the comments as well, is it not a case of where both of you work together to work it into your budget so you know what you then can spend? Is it not like a joint decision rather than someone taking it on themselves to give it to the other person?
So if someone's made the decision for you, I feel a bit like, hang on a second.
The only way that
then you have to
is say one person, I'll tread really carefully, say one person's not working and the other person said, like they have an agreement where, say, I don't know, partner A, I'm trying to avoid gender thing here. So partner A is the earner, partner B doesn't, but together they know all the bills that they have to pay. And, you know, partner B is going to need things from time to time. Partner B might want tights or might want gym equipment, depending on gender, who knows, you know, might want socks. So I don't know, surely it's okay for them to say like, oh, well, what would help you like weekly? Do you know what I mean? So then it's kind of okay, or like a joint thing. And it's like partner A says, oh, okay, well, there's £100 a week. We've agreed that's what you need or whatever.
Oh, okay, like stay-at-home mum or a stay-at-home dad type of thing. And then
so then like, if you need anything, you don't necessarily have to come to me to do it. Like,
yeah.
I can see in that situation that would be fine.
And
I think it's just the terms, isn't it?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Winnie. I
was going to say pretty much the same thing. And it all boils down to what we've been saying, like, since the beginning, really. It's the way you look at your money. So, because I think the way you put pocket money, it does seem a bit like, oh, but if you've budgeted, this is how much we're both going to be able to spend in a certain time for whatever we want to. But you both agree that everybody's money is the same. It doesn't, it's not really an issue, if you see what I mean.
And also, go on.
Yeah, go, Micah. Go.
I was going to say quickly, also, you know, women in Saudi, I was reading one of those comments, women in Saudi get thousands in an allowance. So they're happy to get an allowance. Like one girl.
Let's go to Saudi.
Move to Saudi. Here you go. Where you get lots of money.
I think it's nice. Well, it makes me feel good at times when we may say like it's the allowance that we've set aside for ourselves, but I feel good at times to take out of my money and say, "Here you go, babe. Here's £50. Go and treat yourself."
Yeah.
That's just you buying her something nice.
But then,
I guess it is.
But then we're back to that same kind of premise of the £50 that you're giving her is her money anyway, because you both share the money.
But it does.
But it's how you've given it to her, though, isn't it?
Exactly. Because if Marcus is not using his and he's saying, you know what, just take mine, have it, go do what you want, it still feels like a gift. So then,
I guess for that to make sense, then you would have to be using your personal allowance, your pocket money, your allowance, whatever you want to call it, to give to your wife for her to feel special. Then she wouldn't feel like it's her money anyway. It sounds complicated to me. I don't get it. It sounds complicated.
This is why.
We're busting our brain thinking about this. Listen, I wish I had a £20 to illustrate this right now.
No, this is why it goes back to the whole point of what we said in the first place. You see, I know what comes into my account. He knows what comes into his account, and we know what needs to go in the shared account. So bottom line is, yes, if I want to sit down there and work out the figures as to what's left in his account, I can do that because it's not a secret. But because he's got his account and I've got my account, if I decide to go and take myself and go and buy him some trainers, then he's not going to question it because he didn't even know, because even though it's his and it's shared, it was still coming out of my purse. So that's the same kind of thing as how we were explaining it before.
Yeah, I hear that.
And I think it's confusing. I think it's confusing because we don't really think about it. I guess in our couples, you don't think about it. But if you do stop to think about it, it will become confusing.
That's right. Well, listen, man. Tony has said that they have a budget and they put everything in the budget, and they put a budget together literally for date night and stuff. So there you go.
Go ahead, Dre.
No, I was saying that even though our situation is pretty similar in that all the accounts are joint, even with that, we can still use the same premise of what Mark and Dion are talking about, because like when Stacey's going out for girls' nights with you lot, I'll openly say, and bearing in mind, joint account, she was probably going to do it anyway, but I'll just go, you know what, just spend whatever you girls are going to spend tonight, like just have a good time. So I'm not actively giving her some money and, you know, you can spend this. I'm just like, don't, if in the back of your mind, you go, I can't spend too much, or I can't go wild with the girls. I'm like, don't worry about me. Do it. Like, just go for it. She doesn't need my permission, but it's just, I wanted to take away that second guessing where she's going, oh, I've got to think about.
So if I told you that we spent £13 on orange juice, how would you feel?
Orange juice. £13 on orange juice, though.
It was a mocktail, to be fair.
But the thing is, though, if she goes out shopping with you, Shiri, she'll come back in and she'll show me some clothes. And the joke thing is, she does it deliberately. She'll show me the clothes about 2 months after she's bought them. I'm like, oh, is that new? No. Like, me and Shiri bought it. What?
Not observant.
You never took it out your wallet, it's still in the wrapper.
He's using her allowance, bro. It's all right.
Y'all
Hello,
having
Cherie.
far too much fun. That's what it is.
What are you on
Far
about?
too,
You
far
did.
too much fun.
Yeah. Marcus, she was there. She had one too. All right.
Yeah, I know.
Why
She
you
told me.
Listen, what happened to girl code? What's wrong with this girl?
No more girls' night.
So, okay, big purchase.
Hold on, can I just ask a question?
Go on.
You just said what happens at girls' night stays in girls' night, and we just finished done saying about no secrets. I want to know about your lot of girls' night tonight offline. Yes.
All I can say is I like to roll with the doctors. You get me?
They get taxed heavily, man. So don't get that twisted. They get taxed heavily.
You know what? Let's go roll with Jonathan, man. These healthcare professionals. Yes, man.
Don't roll with me, Benjamin. I'm not for you, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Winnie?
Oh, so I think it was actually Cherie before me, you know.
Oh, sorry.
It is Cherie.
What are your views on credit cards, guys? I know
That's
it's
the devil. They're of the devil.
No, you have to use them properly. I've had a credit card since I was at uni. Since I was like 18, I got a money saving expert. I get the one with the best rates. I get the one that pays me to spend on it. I pay my bill in full every single month. My credit rating is awesome.
Try being married to this.
I have a special
You've had a credit card since 18. Since 18.
Huh? Yeah.
You've had a credit card since you're 18.
Yeah. I have a special credit card for abroad. I don't get charged any fees. I get the best exchange rate. And whenever I want to make a big purchase, I'll take out a 0% credit card, which will last me like 2 to 3 years. I pay everything, I buy everything on that, and I just pay it off, take my time. So all the money sits in my account getting interest, and I'm not getting charged any interest on my credit card.
But then,
All right, Doc. All
I've
right,
got a
Doc.
question. I've
All
got a
right,
question.
sis.
The whole thing is a credit card is never your money. It's someone else's money that you're borrowing.
Yeah, but I only spend what I know I'm bringing in.
There you go.
Mike,
So
I don't
I
think you
use-
listen
I
to
use
anything
as I would
you
use
just
my
said.
credit
Yeah,
card.
exactly.
Listen, Micah, you need to listen to Stacey saving expert over here.
Can I just say, guys? Can I just say?
I
You
use
know, like
it
how-
as I would. So I never use my debit card. I use it as I would use my debit card, so that I pay it off in full every single month. So I'm never spending more than I would spend anyway.
Stace, let me just say, for us fellow Adventist brethren out there, it's not the instrument, it's how it's played. It's not
I
the
agree.
credit card, it's how it's used. Okay, guys?
Exactly.
All right.
If you
Exactly.
can't
Out
afford it,
there.
get one, basically.
And I think that's a discussion that as a couple you need to have with each other and be completely honest. Are you financially savvy? Are you both, what's the word I'm looking for? Do you both have the discipline to know how to do it? Because to be honest, for us, it's dangerous. It's
Of the devil. It's of the devil. The Jewish people back in the Bible never believed in credit. They never believed in interest. It's of the devil. Let's move on.
There's no
Is that
interest.
including mortgages as well?
I can't hear you, Stacey. What's that?
I said there's no interest if you pay it in full.
yeah, but on a real though, like
No, I'm joking. But go
on
on.
a real though, with us, we need the discipline. We need to know what our limits are and our moderation. And for us, in order to save, in order to spend, it's better if we know that our money is ours. So although it works brilliantly for you, and to be honest, Stacey, you are like goals. That is a goal that I could never reach. So for us, credit cards is a no, because we both know how we are.
Been there, done that, never again.
Yeah, you know, and we're in a better place
Thank
now.
God for
we're
Jesus.
in a good place now because we know what our limits are. So yeah.
I think that's important though, Winnie. You've hit on a key point about it's couples understanding their own strengths and their own weaknesses as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important part of whatever decision that you make as a couple. Because if it works, like I personally have never had a credit card, would have probably blown my annual salary in one go and not been able to get that.
On what, Trey?
I didn't pay off my student overdraft until like I thought I was going to pay off my student overdraft when I was in retirement. Like I was that bad. But to be honest, as you've just heard in the last 2 minutes, you can't be married to Stacey and remain like that. You learn. And you have to change.
You become changed.
Yeah.
You were changed.
There you go. That's it.
To Sidhu Miseli, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, who asked about the mortgage. For us, the only things that we have are things that we know, that we see as things as our part of our expenditures. So a mortgage on a house is acceptable, but things where there literally could be no limit and you could end up having millions, like not millions, but lots of debt, like a credit card, is just a no-no for us.
Yeah, because some people take everything on credit. They'll have a TV, a washing machine, a dryer, clothes, this, that, the other. And then what happens is if they lose their job, they then find themselves in financial difficulty.
Yeah.
So, you know,
don't take out credit or depreciation.
Yeah. I think as well, it's interesting, just kind of with both of those ideas. The only reason I ever took out a credit card was because the bank told me when I was at uni, like you, Dre, they said it's going to be great for your credit score and will also help you in terms of property ladder later on in life. So that's also another reason why it's useful. And don't get me wrong, I used it initially and then I put it in the cupboard and never used it again for years. So, yeah.
So, we kind of touched on it a little bit already, so it'll probably be just like a quick question. But when it comes to expenses that are outside of both of your personal allowances, like a massive thing, what do you consider as a massive purchase, and do you have to discuss it with each other when you do it?
So this is a funny one because I was talking to Dion about this, and I was watching. I was watching Married to Medicine.
Hey, sister code, Jonathan. Okay. Stay in your lane, bro. Stay in your lane.
I was watching Married to Medicine, and basically one of the doctors bought a Maserati and didn't tell her husband, and he was vexed for probably for the whole season. But obviously it's relative to the money that they're bringing in. So clearly, neither of us are buying a Maserati, but she has her own practice. She's doing really well. And she's just thought, I'm just gonna go and buy a Maserati. And she just came home and she was like, beep, beep. And, the kids came out, the dog came out, the husband came out, and he flicked the lid. I don't know, would I be upset if Jonathan did that? I mean, I probably wouldn't, because I'd be like, hey!
Can I drive it? No.
I don't know, yeah. That's kind of where this has come from. I don't know, would you be upset if your partner did that? I don't know.
Yeah, I think I would be upset, and not because of the money that's been spent, is the fact that he just didn't discuss it with me. That's all.
Okay, and that's probably okay. So from a male's point of view, that's probably what he was thinking as well.
I think we need to know the cut-off point as to what becomes a whole load of money, because I guess it's relative, isn't it? So yeah. So okay, if I was looking to buy a coat and you tell me some kind of, I don't know, designer coat that's costing £300 that I'm gonna wear a couple of times in the winter, yeah, and I don't think I could just go off the whim and just go, you know what, I like it, I'm gonna buy it, thank you, please, I'll have that. No, I think if I was to, I find this very difficult, because I know, Cherie, you're very similar to me like this, where you just want to tell Jonathan everything. I just want to tell Marcus everything. So I could have been going to the shop and I've seen something. I've been like, Marcus, I've seen this for however much amount of money. And he'll be like, so are you getting it? And then we go back to this, well, I don't know. Why are you not just giving me an answer? Just say no or just say yeah. Why do we have to discuss everything? Why does it have to be I can't just buy? You know what I mean?
I would probably say our principle is, if it goes outside of your allowance, if it means that you're going to have to tuck into the savings, or it's a commitment that you're going to have to make on a monthly basis for a period of time, you need to discuss it with each other.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
It's a good policy.
That makes sense.
But then I think also, I'm like one of those type of people. I call Winnie from a shop and be like, I like these shoes. Take a picture. What do you think? And the shoes could they could cost nothing. Do you know, not much at all. But it's just, I don't know, the communication. Plus, I also like her opinion. So,
Yeah. I'm like that as well, Micah.
It just sounds like we're kind of going back to that transparency and that the ability to communicate about the finances. I think for us, that's very important. Don't get me wrong, I've had my day, definitely, where I've spent probably more than I should have.
What a day? Your day?
That was yesterday, wasn't it?
Let me just sip my drink and keep quiet.
It's not irregular, but there's definitely been times where I've bought something and on reflection, I probably should have discussed it first. We're talking back. But
not that long ago.
Yeah, it was. Now,
Last week.
No, I feel like we talk about stuff like that, like finances more and more, and we're more in tune with each other. So yeah, just naturally, it's like there isn't a situation where I'm off looking at something and I just come home with it and like try and sneak it away, because some people do that. That's the reality. I know a lot of my friends that, you know, have their little Amazon deliveries and they schedule them at certain times and try and
easy.
Like that happens. People do it all the time, and I don't know. I think we're learning to not be like that.
Yeah, for us, it's definitely like a progression thing to get to the point where we're completely transparent with money and what we buy and stuff. Because at first we just buy whatever we wanted to.
And not
talk about it, and then it would just turn up and be like, oh, I didn't know you had this, or you know what I mean? But it's been a gradual thing to the point where now, I think even if Cherie did buy, like I said already, she did buy something extravagant or quite expensive, it'd be more of like, why didn't you tell me or discuss it?
He'd definitely know, because at the moment it'd be his money.
Rather than just keeping it a secret. So it's that transparency, and we've all, it takes time. It's something that builds up. You're not going to have it like from day one.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Very true.
Okay. So if your had savings before they met you, should they share it with you?
Never.
If they had savings before you.
Wow. It's an interesting one.
If your partner has savings, if your partner had savings before they met you, should they share it with you? If it's, you know, what's yours is mine, what's mine is yours.
You absolutely better share it with me.
If you had the savings first, would you share it with Marcus?
That's a deep question. You know? That is a very deep question.
Yeah.
I think it depends.
It's hard because you know that you grafted for how long to put aside your little shekels and your little pennies, and then next thing you know, you fall in love with someone or you marry someone and you're like, okay, bro, I've got to half it all. But hold on a second, I saved it. But I think it's the same if, like, you know, you've had somebody who's passed away and they've left you inheritance, and then you decide that you're then gonna, you know, share it because you're now, the two of you are now one. So yeah, I think.
What about
I'll give you 25%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What
if
they had debt? So like, what if they had like a massive student loan or some other reason why they've got massive debt outstanding, and you had the money? Would you pay it off for them?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Student loan.
No, we never had anything at the start. So
the student loan.
And not necessarily, even if it's not a student loan, say if they're like 30 grand in the hole when you meet them, you've been stacking, you've got the money, you know, you're gonna come together, you want to start your lives together. Would you pay off their debt?
Yeah, because it all depends on how you view money. It all
and your marriage.
And your marriage. Like, if you really genuinely love the person you're married to, money is money. You know, it will be spent. You will get it back again. Why would I? It's like if I got married to Winnie and she was 30 grand in debt and I had 30 grand in my bank, why am I going to want to keep that money and watch my wife struggle? I'm going to want to pay off the debt just so we can enjoy our life. You know, I think some people have the mentality that money's, you know, like a get out of jail card. If things go wrong and the marriage mash up, then I've got my 30 grand to kind of bounce with. But if people have the mentality of marriage really is for life and this is my best friend and that 30 grand is hers, like we got married, the 30 grand, I think
obviously I have to think about it harder because I personally have never experienced that. But I think the more I think about it, the more I think about it, I think, well, I guess, I absolutely would. Like, if I'm becoming one with you, it's just like with anything, you know, you'd share it, wouldn't you? You'd want that person to have a better life. You'd want them to be happy. You wouldn't want them to be living in depression because they've got this heavy cloud over their head.
Right.
So
if you've got the means to like take that away, like I'd see that as selfish personally.
And on top of that, going into that marriage, you're like you are bringing your credit scores and stuff together. So if you want to buy a house in the future, and you've got 30k debt, then it's kind of a given.
Mashing up yourself.
Yeah. And hey, let's keep it real, guys. There's people that might be watching that are not married but are in relationships, be with a partner for a long time and that sort of thing. And I think the only advice we can give for that situation is it goes back to what we've talked about in terms of how you view your money, how that money comes together, and how you view that relationship. Are you going into that relationship thinking, as you said, Micah, not that I'm looking to break up, but it might break up, so I need to have my fallback plan? Or are you going wholehearted into the relationship, so you're trying to make life better for each other as a whole, and not thinking about, well, I'll keep my safety net hidden. So again, secret, that's going to cause problems.
Yeah, and off the side of what you've just said, Marcus, that is a massive red flag if you are about to embark on a relationship with someone, because it's one thing to be together, want to pay off their debts, but if there is an underlying issue there where they are not able to control the way they spend money, even after you get married, and they don't have that change in mentality, then to me, that would be a massive, why am I going to pay your debts when you're just going to make us go in debt again? And that is going to be the downfall of our future relationship.
That's right.
So it is definitely being about aware of each other's goals and things.
I kind of feel like people should be very clear from the onset and also get some financial advice, because, building on what Wynn said, there are lots of people who can't control themselves. And, some people break up, their marriages break down, and it's not just necessarily due to finances, but it's due to the attitude and mindset of how they spend money. So these are things that definitely need to be considered before people get married.
So, go on.
Right. Okay. So we've spoken a lot about that. And, I think today's conversation has been insightful, especially about finances. There's a lot that we can take away from this. There's a lot that we can all learn from each other, and also a lot that we can actually implement within our marriages. But I have to bring our attention to something else that's really bothered me. And as you can see, the team, some of us are wearing I Can't Breathe t-shirts, because this week's been really tough, especially dealing with the death of George Floyd. And when we think about police brutality and we think about the way Black people are treated, we have to bear in mind and be reminiscent of the fact that Black people matter to Jesus. Like, all people matter to Jesus, including Black people. And I just want to say, I'm praying hard for George Floyd's family. I'm praying hard for every other Black person that has lost their life to police brutality. I know that many of us Christians have been on the marches and are supporting, the Black Lives Movement. And I just want to say, keep your relationship with God strong. Don't allow anger to reside in your heart, but allow the Holy Spirit to give you peace. Because although murder does happen, and although police brutality does happen, we have a God who restores that which is broken. And so I pray that we can find encouragement and peace in him, as we're reminiscent of the fact that there are many people who are hurting, including us, as we think about George Floyd and his family.
Okay, so we'd just like to say thanks very much again, everyone who's tuned in and joined us this week. Please follow us. You can find us on Facebook at Can We Just Talk. You can find us on YouTube as well. Can We Just Talk 20, is it? Yeah. Can We Just Talk 20? Follow us, catch up on our previous episodes. If you like what you see, subscribe, and we'll catch you hopefully next week.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.